I started skiing when I was probably 10 in the East Coast at Hunter Mountain, which is about 3 hours north of New York City. I skied in my jeans, gaiters, above your boots so to keep the bottom of your jeans, and my normal ski jacket and my normal mittens, and I went with a school bus trip. And that's actually, I probably skied at Hunter Mountain more than any other mountain for the first 5 or 6 years of my life.
So does Vail have plans to buy Hunter Mountain?
I try not to put my own early ski history into our acquisition strategy. Yes, exactly. Well, it was snowing in Perisher and Vail at the same time, so that's actually the best of all worlds. That's really all about guest service. So when I look back to Pete Seibert, who founded Vail 50 years ago, I think what he instilled in the company that made the resort so special, and then ultimately the company so special, was this maniacal focus on guest service. And not everybody agrees on everything, and everybody has different opinions on things. But if you're at the company, the one thing everyone knows you have to get right is guest service.
So are you going to bring that ethos here to Australia?
Well, I think that ethos certainly exists in Australia in so many different forms in a lot of different places, but absolutely, right, that's going to be something where I think actually there's an existing synergy, right, that is the passion that so many people have at Perisher already, and that's something, what we have found by adding, each time we add a resort, there's almost like a reigniting of that passion, because you kind of meet people from across the company who are now part of the same family as you, who are sharing, right, that same intensity for guests, for doing the right thing for the guests, for this experience on the mountain, for skiing and snowboarding, all of that. So the answer is no, and maybe.
Okay.
So no, Perisher employees will still be employed by an Australian company, and actually that's important because Australia has a whole different set of laws and benefits that are different from the United States, and obviously we're going to be maintaining all of that. So it is important for us to keep it separate from that standpoint. From a cultural standpoint, as we just talked about, no, we intend to really align the cultures and really kind of bring out the best, right, of Perisher, just like the best of all of our other resorts, and they'll be meeting and getting together. In terms of actually going back and forth, what I would say is it does make the visa process a little bit easier, but it's not, there is still a visa process in the United States, and obviously in Australia as well, but that's something that I think we have, let's say, a little bit more incentive, right, to try and allow for people to do it and focus on it, but it doesn't eliminate many of the hurdles that exist today. That's something that'll take more time, I think, and candidly, probably legislative fixes in the United States. The reason why people would come down to Australia is more about the experience and the passion. It's not necessarily about Australian laws in particular. I think that there are people, we have a number of employees that do like to come down. We have across our company people who, after we announced this deal, kind of came up through the woodwork and said, oh, I've skied there, I've been there, I trained how to ski there, I learned how to ski there, I was a ski instructor there. So we think that can absolutely continue. But again, I would say it's going to be more the exception than the rule. One of the challenges we had was the deal is not closed yet. And so there's an approval process that goes on here in Australia that we have to go through, and we can't actually acquire the resort. But we felt like with the season upcoming in Australia, was there an opportunity for us to do something even before it closed? And so the idea we came up with was this. Anyone who buys an Epic, the Perisher Freedom Pass, right? Because right now, right, if you buy an Epic Pass, it's not good at Perisher because we don't own the resort yet. But what we did do is we said if you buy a Perisher Freedom Pass right now, you will get access to Perisher this upcoming winter, just like you normally would. And you can also get access to all of our resorts in the United States. And so what we're focused on right now is the Perisher Freedom Pass. That's what we think, that's what gets you, right, the best opportunity, kind of the best deal. And so it is our message to everybody here to try and avoid that kind of confusion. Now, if you buy an Epic Pass, yes, when the deal closes, right, yes, you can use it here in Perisher. When the deal closes, you can use that, obviously, of course, in our resorts in the U.S. regardless. But to try and avoid all that, our message and avoid all these kind of confusions is no. The Perisher Freedom Pass gets you all season long right now here in Australia at Perisher, and then unlimited skiing at all 9 of our resorts right in the United States, with 2 exceptions. One is some holiday restrictions, but a lot of those don't really conflict. They're Christmas and President's Day, Easter. They don't really conflict with most of the times, right, that folks in Australia travel to the US. 2 is only 10 days at Vail and Beaver Creek. If you want unlimited, unrestricted skiing in the US as well, yes, then you want to buy the Epic Pass. And the price is about, the Epic Pass is about $750 US, but the Freedom Pass is about $750 Australian. And right now, right, there's about a 20 to 25% difference between that. So the Freedom Pass is a pretty unbelievable, unheard of deal. Absolutely. So I think our company has a tremendous track record of investing in every single resort that we buy. But that's a process, especially because Perisher is on public lands. For our company, we want to make sure that we do things the right way so that they have support from all parties, which means that talking to the local community, talking to skiers, talking to local government, talking to the provincial government to make sure whatever it is that we think makes sense for Perisher going forward is something that has tremendous enthusiasm. And that's what we do in the United States as well. I think the great news is that Perisher has already been a leader of making improvements on the mountain in many, many ways. As we look to the future, there's no question Perisher already has some applications and some things that they've filed. Those are things that obviously we're going to look at and continue to work on. But then there's some other long-term opportunities like the Village that, yes, I think take time and obviously tremendous collaboration and cooperation. And it's important to, one of the things I've been telling people, which we do at every one of our resorts, is don't jump ahead, right? Do the spade work. Make sure you understand what it is people want, like your readers. What do they want? What would make the most difference to them? I would say even the Park City Gondola and a lot of those discussions, right? We were operating the canyons for a year before we actually, which is right next door to Park City, before we actually made any commitments around Park City, and then even that took a little while with the local community. So, I would say that I think that some of those challenges, right, are not as big as the Village here is a big opportunity, but also certainly has lots of impacts that we have to make sure we get right. And I know it's been, a lot of people here have been talking about it for a long time, and we're certainly understanding of that, but obviously we just got here. And so from Vail's perspective, right, there are a lot of things that Perisher is going to continue to do exactly as is, but for the new big things, yeah, we want to take our time to really make sure we understand it. I think that largely depends on whether there's a real demand for that. I think, right, there's a difference in what people like to do, let's say in Sydney, than, in Denver, when it gets hot, everybody goes to the mountains. Here, right, everybody goes to the beach. And so there is a little bit of a difference in terms of the demand, right, to go to the snowy mountains in the summer. And so our view would be, what can we do there that, of course, is environmentally sensitive, but also responds to real demand? Yeah, so all the full-time year-round folks who are here, yes, they absolutely get season passes to all of our resorts in the United States as well.
But seasonal employees?
Seasonal's a little different because obviously they may have left so they get season pass. So in the United States, yes, they do get it during that winter when they're an employee. But obviously when they're not an employee, no, they don't get a season pass. And that's something I think obviously we haven't dealt with this before, right? Which is seasonal employees who leave the resort now are not employed any longer, but they want to go and ski at kind of a sister resort. So what I'd say is we haven't thought through exactly how that should work, but I think there's probably a big opportunity for us to find a way to give real benefits to them as well. Well, I think that's obviously an issue that we have in the United States as well in terms of climate change and more intense weather, which is, right, you get these periods of no snow, then you get unbelievable snow, and we're seeing that. And so our job, right, is 2 things. One, to make sure the experience, whenever people come, is outstanding. And I'd say that's true on all levels, which is I think sometimes resorts can maybe say, well, the skiing is not as good, or well, we don't have that new lift that we wanted, and so the employees can sometimes feel like, well, I don't have to go above and beyond. And our message to everybody is no. Anyone who shows up at the resort at any time has to have this incredible experience, because that's how we build our business. One, two, our goal, right, is if you buy a season pass and you're worried about there could be a shorter winter here in Australia, well, now you get a whole nother winter in the United States. And so if you think about it from a global perspective, I think what skiers see is there's very rarely a season where there's not a great snow year somewhere, right? And so the question is, right, can you provide a product to skiers where basically they feel like I get to ski somewhere on this same product where there is a great snow year, and I get to kind of test and taste all of these different experiences, and that's the goal behind the Everfest.
Have you been approached by New Zealand to purchase any ski resorts?
Yeah, so I don't comment whatsoever on our acquisition stuff, no matter what. But I would say I think we have plenty on our hands here in this part of the world for now. So first and foremost, right, Peter and his entire team and the entire staff at Perisher has been doing this for a long period of time, and and we believe that, like any ski resort community, you don't agree all the time, but the key is, do you have a constructive working relationship? And it certainly seems like that absolutely exists here. And so I think one of the keys for us is not getting in the way of that. And that's one of the things we really talk about, how every single one of our ski resorts is different. And so if you go to Vail, the people in Vail don't want you to treat them like they're from Park City. And the people in Park City don't want you to treat them like they're from Breckenridge. They all feel like there is a unique nature, a unique history, right, to that community. And I would say Perisher and Dindyvine is the same. And so the key is, right, keeping all of the issues local and not having Vail Resorts, because we're one big company, somehow interfere with that. Because, and you know what, that's the challenge of being in the ski resort business and the opportunity. The challenge is there is no, like, we're not Starbucks. So it's not like every ski resort's the same and everybody's going to serve coffee exactly the same. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, actually. It's a pretty good business, and obviously it makes it easier to manage. For us, every one of our resorts looks different, feels different, is a different business, and so it makes it harder, but it also makes our company a little more unique in that we do it well. And so that's what we lean on, but yes, don't come up with one solution. Yeah, I think something absolutely for us to look at. I know I already chatted with Lindsay Vonn, and she felt good that she had a new place to ski when she wanted to train during the summer. So I think all of that's very possible.
So is there any truth to the rumor that Lindsay will be out here for the opening of this season?
There isn't even that rumor. So Beaver Creek, right, has freshly baked cookies at the end of the day called Cookie Time. North Star added a similar experience, except we didn't make it cookies, we made it s'mores. So what I'd say is every resort really has to have its unique thing, and even the resorts themselves don't like us copying, right, the things that they do well, because the truth is, especially in the United States, right, the resorts are also competing. So what I'd say is, at the end of the day, for Perisher, the question is, what would make it unique? What would be a signature item that would be interesting? And again, what would guests want? I'm definitely not commenting on acquisitions in general, but I would say again that I think this is our first acquisition in the Southern Hemisphere, and I think our company, the key is not to just keep thinking of more and more and more, but how do we do this right?